doctor is in. Hello and welcome everyone to the first episode of The Love Doctor here on SPTV. We are thrilled to bring you an exciting show full of insight, advice, and discussion of college dating and relationship culture. You may ask how I, myself, the Love Doctor, have enough authority to advise you on this topic. Well, I pride myself on having done everything wrong in relationships and dating that I possibly could. Therefore, I know what not to do. Failure is never a waste of time. There is always something to learn from it. My two guests today are Matt and Emily. Please give them a heartwarming welcome.
Hi, Michaela. Glad to be here. Like yourself, I have a little bit different of expertise as I haven't been in a lot of relationships, but I've watched a lot of relationships. So I'm able to share what I've seen.
Awesome. We look forward to hearing.
Thank you, Michaela, for having me on the show. I'm Emily Showers, and I am a senior here, so I have had a few relationships myself of varying degrees, and I just find it an interesting topic, and I've always talked to a lot of friends, and I've seen their ups and downs.
Great, yeah, that's good to get a variety of outlooks on that. Well, with that, we'll jump right into it. Our first segment is Take It to the Street. This week, we brought the big question out right away and asked some UWSP students across campus if they believe in soulmates. Let's take a look at what they had to say.
Hi, my name is Marcus Johnson. I'm a second-year student. My major is elementary education. Do I believe in soulmates? Yes, I do. I just actually found my soulmate, so I'm like super happy, and I can see myself with this person for forever. So yes, I believe in soulmates. One day, someone will find their soulmate and find the love of their life. So yes, you get that feeling inside, and it never died down. And like the smile I have on my face every time you hear this person's name, or they text you, or call you, or you see them from a distance, you just have joy in your heart, and it shows everywhere. I would like to give a shout out to my soulmate, Riley Ludwig.
Okay, my name is Carly Norton. I'm a senior here at UW Stevens Point, and I'm a communication major for media studies. And do I believe in soulmates? Yes, I do, but I don't necessarily think that that's always the person you end up with. I think you can have a soulmate that connects to you, but you don't always end up with them.
Hi, my name's Alyssa Sanfilippo. I'm a senior psychology major with a human services emphasis. And do I believe in soulmates? I do. I think there's at least one, if not more, for everyone.
All right, so soulmates. I don't personally believe in soulmates. I think that there's an infinite amount of people out there that could work for someone. I just think the timing has to be right, the circumstances. You have to want the right thing for your life, you know, in the same location and the same kind of goals together. I think that's really the key. I don't think that there's one person out there for everyone, because that's kind of a lot of pressure, I think, and especially when you're this age, you're trying to find your soulmate. I mean, we're in our 20s, you know, it's kind of unrealistic to me, but that's just my opinion. What do you guys think?
Well, there's several billion people in the world. I'm pretty sure you can find at least one other person that you can get along with as well as anybody else. So I'm not about the whole soulmate thing. I think that there are many people that you can find, date, and have just as much fun as you would anybody else.
Right. It's a sweet idea, the idea of it, for sure. But, you know, there's lots of people, like you said, that we all could get along with.
I think it's a thing people want to believe in when they're kind of feeling a little down, like they're like, oh, well, there's someone out there for me. And personally myself, I used to believe, like when I was younger, I was like, there is one person out there for me. I know it. I am like 100% positive on this. But it's just, You just have to open yourself up to people, and it's like there is not one singular person. One time in high school, I had a sociology teacher, and she said, take out a map and draw a circle around a 10-mile radius, and your soulmate is in that radius. So I think it just depends on the time in your life, because two people who could get along in their 20s might not be perfect for each other when they're in their 30s. You just always have to be reevaluating yourself.
Exactly, and like I said, failure, you always learn from it. No relationship is completely gone to waste. You learn and grow, and I mean, eventually something will work out for you. But we'll take a quick commercial break, and we'll be right back with more love advice. Stay tuned.
My name is Julia Flaherty. I'm the current promotions director at SPTV. My job allows for me to have a lot of personal creative direction because that is the team environment that we instill here at SPTV. This past summer, I had the opportunity to write for hercampus.com as well as thedailyquirk.com. Personally, I feel that being involved with SPTV has really helped boost my confidence and my ability to network with other students. If student media is something that interests you, and even if you're not really sure what student media means, you should stop by our studios. We are looking forward to having you involved this year, and we cannot wait to make media with you.
If they could speak up, we wouldn't have to. Bringing species back from the brink of extinction.
My name is Lance Castor. I graduated from UW-Stevens Point in 2014. I started at SPTV my junior year. I was looking for a fun experience that also provided me with a chance to learn something, and SPTV was the place to come. Right now, I'm employed at WFRV-TV, the CBS affiliate located in Green Bay, Wisconsin. I can handle it because of what I was able to learn here at SPTV. You can be as creative as you want here. The only limits are those that you put on yourself. Those limits will
Every living organism plays a critical role in the planet's ecosystem. Take one away. The San Diego Zoo Global Wildlife Conservancy strives to preserve life, but we are missing one piece. Now is the time to act. Join us, and together we can bring species back from the brink of extinction.
Welcome back. It is now time to answer some questions off of the UWSP Love Confessions Facebook page. We would like to extend a huge thank you to the page administrator for offering their support with our endeavors here at the Love Doctor. We sincerely hope that we can offer some help to your confessors. The first confession is, I am really having a hard time finding a city guy who is not a jerk. I am sick of getting my heart broken when I think I have found a good one. I do not want a relationship based on sex. I want a best friend who I can talk to about anything with and have fun together. Where are you guys at? Well, I think the first mistake there is you're narrowing yourself down to one type. And I don't think anyone really fits into one type, and if you're looking just right at that stereotypical genre there, you're really, just knocking out a whole bunch of people that you could possibly get along with. And I used to do the same thing. I used to be like, country boys, that's the only thing that'll work for me and nothing else. And that's what I used to do personally. And now I'm kind of like, maybe that's not the best idea for me. So that's where I'm at with that. And as far as the relationship based on certain things, you really just have to be on the same page, be direct with the person with what you're looking for, and if they're a decent person, they'll be direct back, and you can agree on something that you can work together with on, I think.
Yeah, it's strange, because we're in Wisconsin, so there's a large combination of country and city boys.
Right.
Like, nobody's one type.
Exactly.
And I think you just have to kind of know what you want specifically in a guy. Like, do you want somebody who can go out and get food from the forest with a gun, or do you just want somebody who's just going to go with you to the supermarket and buy meat out of the grocery aisle? And I think if you know what you want then you can help a little bit, and you can avoid looking necessarily for types and more just personality traits that somebody has. I mean, I've heard somebody said, it's like, I can only date black guys now. And it's like, well, you're kind of cutting off a large section of the population now.
Really
you want to keep your mind open to the idea of being able to date really anybody.
For sure. And I don't know about you guys, but I don't classify myself as one type. I don't know what I would classify myself stereotypically as. So it'd be hard to look at someone and be like, you are this. But I try anyhow, as I just said.
I think people miss a lot of people when they do that, and it's like people will just kind of be blindsided, and there might be someone that you really like, but you'll just be like, oh, well, I can't date you because you're a country boy, you live up in the forest and stuff. So, I mean, I do have to agree with you guys. It's just it narrows yourself in. However, it is good to once in a while do something like, for example, I'm just going to use this, like career-wise, I mean, I want to be a journalist. I'll just use myself as an example. I want to be a journalist, and it might be hard for me to date someone who's let's say like a forester who's always like in Alaska and is like working up there and constantly gone, and then I'm constantly moving. So it's not really a type thing, but you do have to see like what you guys are doing.
Practically look at what you want, yeah.
It's like you have to see if it's basically realistic, type or no type. So I think just don't box yourself in.
Right, I agree. I think we're all on the same page with that.
I think so.
So moving on to our next confession. Sometimes I wonder why I keep going back to you after you have hurt me so many times. But then I look at you and realize I am basically looking in a mirror. You are so much like me that I cannot let you go, even if I should. Well, that sounds like an interesting relationship, and it kind of sounds like it might be somebody's first relationship. I know I've only really had one relationship in my life, and it took me a little bit to get over with.
And it always does, that first one.
I was able to, I did get over it, just I came to accept it, and I realized we weren't right for each other.
Right.
Even if we had some similarities, it was better to move on and just worry about something else.
It really is. And if someone is hurting you, and I mean especially repeatedly, it's best to just let it go and move on, because you will find someone who's better suited for you, or you'll be happier alone for a while. And that's just how it is. That's just the nature of it. I mean, I've had the same thing. It took me a long time to get over my first relationship, and then when I did, it was like, I'm finally free, because that would have never worked. It was just absolutely impractical.
Kind of going off of the vein of first relationships, and you guys were saying that's the hardest. It's always so hard to pinpoint a first relationship and a first love, because I feel like almost with every new love interest you have, you feel like refreshed. You're like, this is the person. Like, you don't go into a relationship saying, this is gonna suck so much. It's like, you just go into it feeling refreshed, and I feel like your definition of like love changes each time. Like, it's like it gets refreshed and it changes as you get older. Like, if we could get technical here, my first love was the boy I sat next to in second grade. I was a cute little ginger, and I was like, yay! Surprised I remember this. But it's just like there are so many different things. And for this one, I would have to say with going back to someone, that's really hard. I feel like people shouldn't. I feel like sometimes couples should take a break from each other, because they're getting way too involved in the relationship. They're really not looking at it objectively. They're just seeing it from their two perspective, and I feel like that's the reason why a lot of people will break up and then get back together, is they realize, hey, maybe we should have just taken a break. And it's like they should maybe take like however long it needs to be, like a break from each other, reevaluate the situation once they're a little cooled down. And it's like, but however, there is the flip side where it's like sometimes you just need to cut it off. If it is, my advice is if it's affecting you like to the point where you're getting like physically sick, you're just emotionally down all the time. Oh, dang it. You're emotionally down all the time. It's just, you just need to cut that off.
And it really depends upon the circumstance. I mean, people sometimes do deserve second chances, but if someone is really emotionally or physically or harming you in any way, it's just not worth it to go back, because you're gonna really just beat yourself down and feel worse about yourself, damage your self-esteem. Just move on with your life. There are other things to focus on sometimes, besides love. Obviously, there's lots of other things in life, to enjoy. It's not everything, for sure.
Alrighty, so our last confession is, I cannot take it any longer. I need a girlfriend. I want someone to wake up to in the morning, someone to share those unforgettable times with, and someone who would put their undeniable trust in me. I want a true relationship and someone I can actually say those few very special words to. I love you. Well, this sounds a little bit like a case of desperation to me, and one thing I have to say is never, ever, 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 ever date out of desperation. What happens, or what I've seen happen with people, is their standards and their judgment is usually lower, so they will just go to that kind of drunk person in the bar, and they will just get themselves into a situation, and it kind of, one of our topics was actually like leading on somebody, and this is where I feel like a lot of those feelings come in, is someone's just like, oh, I need someone, so I'll go to this person. One person might be really hurt and be like, oh, I thought this was serious, but the other person did it out of desperation. And we've all had those lonely Saturday nights where we're just sitting down and we're just sad. And
right.
We're like,
and you just want someone, anyone, but that's not really the right mindset to go into a relationship with, you know?
It does not work out.
No, and sometimes, I mean, the best things happen when you're not expecting them to. Someone will come up to you and you're like, wow, you're really cool. And then you start hanging out and you totally didn't expect that it would happen. You know? And things like that, you know, a lot of the times work out a lot more favorably than if you're actively looking, like searching everywhere, high and low for someone, I think.
It just like, it never works out, and it goes back to the type thing, is you have this mindset like, I just want to do this, and it just really just blocks you in.
Right.
Now, I have a question. What do you guys think about like casual dating? Because I don't know if you've noticed this, but a trend I've noticed is either people will be like, let's just be friends, or full-on commitment, we are going to spend our life together. I noticed there's not much of a middle room anymore.
Yeah, I think that there should be more of a middle ground. I think that's something with our generation. We just don't, we see either Facebook official or just friends. We don't see that courting phase where you'll kind of get to know each other before you're actually in a relationship. I think that can be really beneficial to the couple.
Yeah, I think there's a lot more pressure too that's coming for people to be in relationships, and not so much just, oh, we're just hanging out, like we don't know where we are right now. And it was like, we need to either be in a relationship or you're not. Like we don't want to mess around with games. And I feel like if you think you need a girlfriend or even a boyfriend, then you have other issues you need to worry about, such as just getting a social life more, finding people you want to hang out with, find a group, especially here in college. There's tons of organizations you can go to instead. And then maybe you'll meet somebody who can be your girlfriend, or you'll meet some like more friends you can go and hang out with, who share your common interests. I know I've had that thought. It's like, wow, I really want a girlfriend. And then I go and hang out with my friends. I'm like, nah, I'm fine.
Don't need that.
The bros are here. We're good to go.
The same way.
If you focus more, I think, on just living your life than worrying about trying to hook up, it's going to have better results for you.
Definitely. A lot more favorably, for sure. And you'll meet someone who is way better for you than if you would have been searching, I think, is what usually happens.
Exactly. And there's just like this thing where with the casual dating, you miss out so much, and it's like, I feel like a lot of people don't want to like waste their time, and it's like, they're like, oh, I just want to do this, so that's good.
Well, it was a really great discussion, you guys. We're going to take another quick commercial break, but we'll be right back, so stay tuned.
My name is Jackie Lang. I graduated from UW-Stevens Point in 2013. I started off coming to general members meetings, showing up for the shows. From the first show that I was a part of, I just absolutely loved it. Now that I've graduated, I currently work at WFRV TV, which is Channel 5, the CBS affiliate in Green Bay. I also freelance for Lashbro Visual Communications. All of my experience, all of my knowledge came from SPTV, and I will forever be grateful to this organization for that.
Every day, the San Diego Zoo Global Wildlife Conservancy's dedicated team of scientists and conservationists is working around the globe to save Earth's precious wildlife from extinction. Now is the time to act. You can become a hero for wildlife. And with your generous gift, you can create a path that will help bring animals back from the brink of extinction. Together, with your generosity, we can do even more.
SPTV is your home for everything pointers, only on Charter Channel 983. Stevie Pointer loves SPTV News and the News' producers. Watch SPTV News weekly for breaking, campus, and local news across Stevens Point. Only on Charter Channel 983.
Bringing species back from the brink of extinction.
Welcome back to the Love Doctor here on SPTV. For our final segment, we will answer some questions submitted directly to our panel from the Love Doctor SurveyMonkey account linked on our Facebook page. Our first question is, in a relationship, how do you maintain balance between having alone time and spending time together? For example, how do you manage it so you are not always around each other and get irritated? Well, I think it's important to realize that you're still separate entities. You still have your own interests and your own friends, and you can still live that life while you're in a happy relationship. I mean, you'll have time together. You can go out on dates, go out to the movies, go out to eat, all of that, and still, you know, do your things with your guys, you know, go and play video games if that's your thing, you know, go shopping with the girls, and that's perfectly fine to spend time apart and enjoy it. You know, you don't always have to be constantly connected or constantly texting. I think that's a lot of people our age think they need to be constantly in contact, which can be really damaging, I think, to a relationship.
Totally, because I believe I'm a schedule person. Every day I will make out my day hour by hour, and God so help me something like impedes on that. No, I'm pretty flexible usually, but it's like, I think a good idea is to set a date night, and like a night like where you just can be with each other, because I feel like that really will solve a lot of problems, and that's just coming from me. Some people are more spontaneous people, but I'm kind of more of I like set schedules, and it's like I think like date nights are really good for couples because it's like a set time where you can be like, hey, let's go and do this, and I just think that's a really good idea.
Right, and you can try something new each week. Like I always think that's a good idea to like try something either that one of you is a fan of and the other isn't, and try to enjoy it together, or you know, come up with a completely new idea and try a new hobby, like you know, rock climbing or something that neither of you had ever tried, and maybe it'll be your new thing.
An interesting thing is from my internship I did this summer is a woman who I had interviewed for a marriage advice article. She had been married for I think about 32 years, and what she had said something about that, like it's personal hobbies are like a give and take. Like I forgot what it was, but one of her husband's hobbies, she thought it was kind of boring, and he thought one of hers was kind of boring, but they still did it, and they ended up liking it because it's like you have to give and take, and you always have to have something in common.
Yeah, I think it's especially important that you don't, like you have your own time, but don't distance yourself so much that like you feel like apart. I think I've had issues with that where I had a hard time balancing being time together and being time apart, and I didn't know I didn't know how to balance it.
Yeah.
I think just that's a learning process that each couple like learns at their own pace.
It definitely is, yeah. You know, a fun example, you know, I was dating a guy once and he was big into hunting and I've never been big into hunting, but I went along anyhow, we were bird hunting and I yelled at the birds. I'm like, run, fly, fly for your lives. And obviously he wasn't, you know, a fan of that, but it was a good time together. It was, you know,
yeah.
It was a fun experience.
You just like learn so many different things. And I mean, I think that's where like casual dating once again comes into play, is you can just have fun. Like, I mean, we're in our 20s. We don't have to be like super serious.
You don't
it's
have
like
to settle down right away.
Yeah,
you know,
just like you learn so much from people who are like somewhat different than you.
You really do.
Totally.
All right, on to our next question then. How should you go about asking a girl you like out for the first date?
Oh my gosh, looks like there's one guy in both of us. Well, I will say one thing is I have had experience with guys who are way too shy to ask me out, and it's like, just say it. It's like, I mean, we're not gonna tear you apart. We're not gonna rip you apart. It's like, we'll either give a yes or no. And another thing too, to like people, it's like, it's just like, with asking someone out, either you try to be direct with people, because I notice some people who get asked out, they might get nervous, they might get afraid, so both just be direct. You're a lot better with being honest with each other. And
I think it can be important to differentiate between hanging out and going on a date. Like, I think your intention should be, you know, relatively clear. And, you know, I think asking in person is probably the best because, you know, over the phone or through text, it's like, oh, well, why didn't they ask me that when they saw me, you know? And, you know, it can be kind of nice and convenient to hide behind that, but definitely in person, I think, is the best idea.
Yeah. All right. I'm going to stand up for the guys here, though. Ladies, don't be afraid to go and ask the guy out. If you think he likes you, if you like him, go out and do it. The men shouldn't always have to be the ones to go and do it. And personally, I feel for that first date, you can like use Facebook or use a text message to do it because it is a little bit more pressure. Now, a second date, you have in person, no question about it. But that first date is really the hardest.
When you don't know.
It's that hardest step to go over. And I think being able to do it like through that text, through the Facebook, where it's a little less pressure, is a little bit better for some people.
I could definitely see that point, for sure.
Bouncing off of that, it's like, it's all about wording. Like, if you do a Facebook one or a text one or even over the phone, it's like, it's all about the wording, because one of my friends, someone asked them out and here was their thing. It was over Facebook. It was like, hey, want to go out sometime? I mean, try to be a little creative and really try to be nice and explain things. And what do you guys have for first date ideas? Because sometimes I feel like people get stuck with that.
So actually, a friend of mine gave me advice on this. I'm like, oh, we went out to movies. And he goes, movies are a terrible first date.
Yes, they are a terrible
I didn't know this because it's my first date. But it was my first date. But he said, you know, go someplace, you know, small, someplace you can talk. Go for a walk in the park. Go to a coffee or ice cream shop. Someplace where you guys can just talk about each other and your interests. Yes, exactly. And I haven't been able to use that advice yet, but I have it in the back just in case.
You got it in there. The feather in your cap.
A fun first date idea, or maybe even a second date, because I feel like the first date is a little more of like talking intimately, getting to know each other, but like a second thing is it's fall, and I went on like a second-ish date one time, and this was so much fun. It's like, I don't know what people are into, but going to haunted houses, it's fall, it's a good thing. You're a little scared, and if you want to hold hands, it is like so adorable.
That is a great idea. I really agree. And, well, that is about all the time we have for our first show. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in to our very first episode here at The Love Doctor. Tune in again next week for more heartwarming advice and insight. Keep up to date with all of our lovely happenings by liking us on Facebook at The Love Doctor on SPTV. And also be sure to submit your burning romance questions to us using our SurveyMonkey link. They will all be featured here on the show. Until next time, you are in our hearts, UWSP.
You're watching SPTV here on Channel 983 on Charter.